So why a doctorate? You might be surprised how often I've been asked this question. Not only was I asked this question about my doctorate, many people in my life asked me, why are you getting a bachelor's degree? Why are you getting a master's degree? Especially when I was enlisted as a mechanic, I think a lot of people just looked at it and said, why would you, as an enlisted aircraft mechanic, need all this higher education? And so what I would like to do is talk to you a little bit today about my motivations and kind of where I found my motivations, going all the way back to high school, because that's really where I had a lot of struggles and conflict with education, if you will. So I love this picture. This is where I graduated boot camp about 23 years ago. But even before this photo, again, high school was a challenge for me, and I just had other priorities, as a young man. And I even had to take summer classes just to make sure I could get my diploma in time to enlist into the Air Force at the ripe age of 17. And I decided to become an aircraft mechanic. I loved that job. I was an aircraft mechanic for the first 15 years of my career in the Air Force. And I was really focused on learning my job and crafting that trade. And that's really important, but I lacked motivation for higher education. Even though the Air Force does pay for an associate's and a bachelor's and a master's, and in some cases a doctorate degree, that's just not where I was focused at the time. This is a really cool picture of me and some buddies when we were in technical training to become aircraft mechanics, and that's me on my far left. And again, loved my job. Our technical training was about 5 months long, and so for the first few years in the Air Force, this is really where I was focused on just growing up, becoming an adult, and learning my job and being the best aircraft mechanic I could be. And again, very important. And I did eventually find some traction. We actually have what's called the Community College of the Air Force, which is a really cool program where your both boot camp and your technical training counts towards credits towards this degree. But even though I only needed to take 5 additional classes, it still took me years to get this. I did have a turning point though. So this is a great picture of me and my wife when I was stationed in the Azores. And I will say I did start taking classes for a bachelor's degree towards computer studies eventually. Usually one class at a time. It took me about 6 years in total to get this degree. But it was really in the last year where I was stationed here in the Azores that I actually started to enjoy it to some degree. And I felt like I was really gaining some knowledge and learning a wealth of information that I did not previously have. I was enjoying the research, and it was a technical degree, so I thoroughly enjoyed the programming aspect to it and the database development, things like that. I ended up even graduating with honors, which was a surprise to all of us, I think. And again, this was kind of my turning point to where a couple years later, when I was stationed back in the United States, I got offered the opportunity to apply for a job as an instructor for the Air Force. And this is my official photo when I was in that job. Loved that job. Best job I've ever had in the Air Force. And that's where I really fell in love with education and the classroom and teaching. And again, just building up my own knowledge and growing as an individual and being able to share that knowledge and grow the people around me is really where I found that true inspiration and internal motivation to go further. And so in this job, I started working towards a master's degree in IT. I actually had to put a pause on it because I put in an application to commission, and I got picked up to commission as an officer, a cyber officer. And so I had to pause for a couple of years for that additional training. But I did pick it back up, and after about 5 years in total, I earned my master's. So really, it's about finding your why. throughout the whole journey. And so for me, later on, pursuing a doctorate in education was something that I really wanted to do. Again, just to grow as an individual. I find that there's a lot of power in knowledge and wisdom, and I feel like it's something that we can never really stop doing, is learning both in a formal environment through our degrees or certifications, or just learning from the people around us, our friends, our family, our work peers. This is one of my favorite photos. Again, it's kind of an old photo of me and my daughter when she was first born. 3 weeks later, I had to deploy for an operation, and it was a really sad moment to leave her when she had, brand new to the world. But she was one of my personal motivations for pursuing higher levels of education, just so that I can be better equipped. She's much older now. She's many years older now. This is when she was a baby. But I really wanted to be empowered and more knowledgeable in the different aspects of education, so that I can better take care of my children and be there for them and know what they need. And so really, for me, that's what it's for anybody, though, right? Whether we're talking about myself or any of you, anything we do in life, whether it's formal education or pursuing a new career or a new goal, is really just finding out like what matters to you, like why is it important? Because if you don't have that, you're gonna lack motivation to complete that goal. And so I'll kind of end there with a quick plug that I did write a couple of books about this, actually. The Other Airman is a chronicle of my life in the Air Force, talking about some of the things I've learned about leadership, especially. Wrenches to Pins is about my journey in academia, focus on the doctoral journey, especially. And here's my contact info. Definitely feel free to always reach out. Always available. Would love to talk more about my journey, your journey, and kind of how we get from point A to point B. So I'll leave it there for now, and thank you so much for your time.